Woo! Oh, shit. The second tower has just been hit. This is the fight guy. I'm Guy. A few things to cover in this video. Mainly, I will be breaking down the Apex card in 2 days. Dolidze versus Hernandez. What is it going to be? August 9th. I'm going to break down the entire card, give you my predictions for each and every single fight, how I see it going. And then before we get into that, I want to talk about Charles Oliveira, Rafael Fiziev fight announcement today. We'll give our 2 cents on that, as well as a UFC Noche card because it's just around the corner. So without further ado, we're going to get right into it with the first mini topic. UFC Noche being headlined by Diego Lopes, Gene Silva, and what I believe could be one of the best fights of the year. All right, with that being said, I have to say, aside from this fight, the rest of the card is kind of trash. Look, I live in Dallas, Texas. This fight is in San Antonio. It's a 5-hour drive. It's big for some people. For Texas, it's a day trip. It's a day trip over to San Antonio. I'm not going to make this card, okay? I'm not going to go. I'm not going to pay money for this. I'd rather take the little bit of money I'd spend on this card and save up to go to like a Madison Square Garden card. If you're a fan that's trying to get in one more event by the end of the year, I'm not saying this is the event you should be going to. I'm not saying it's not the event you should be going to. For some people, maybe it is. But for most, general fans of the UFC, this card does not make a whole lot of sense to fork money over, and I'll give you a couple reasons why. First, we'll start with a personal experience of mine. Like I've mentioned a few times before on this channel, I went to UFC 313 in Vegas, the Pereira-Ankalaev card. It was supposed to be co-mained by Justin Gaethje and Dan Hooker. That is why I went to that card. I love Alex Pereira. I love the middleweight division. I love some of the other fights on that card. But the reason I went to that card was I really was invested in that Dan Hooker-Justin Gaethje fight. Now, that fight fell through a few weeks before the card actually happened. And we still went. And you should still go. It was a great card. I'm glad I went. There were other great fights. Now with this one, imagine Diego Lopes gets a cut on his eye, or Gene Silva, breaks an arm or a hand, or, the fight has to get rescheduled or called off. You paid all that money to go see Edgar Chairez fight Alessandro Costa, Rafa Garcia take on Jared Gordon. It's not bad. We'll go on the prelims. Jesus Aguilar taking on Luis Garul. I mean, you see what I'm saying? Oh, Alice Pereira, who's not actually related to Alex Pereira. God, it's making me sick talking about it. Card's not that great. You have a card on Mexican Independence Day. It's supposed to be UFC Noche, headlined by 2 Brazilians. Not that that fight doesn't make sense. It does. I believe the Yair Rodriguez fight makes way more sense in multiple different categories, but this is the fight we got for Mexican Independence Day. So you could thank the UFC for that. Better yet, you could thank Yair Rodriguez for not wanting to be a real Mexican. And I said it, Yair Rodriguez, I'm looking in the camera. What's up, bro? You're supposed to be Mexican. You don't want to fight on UFC Noche against the guy that just fought for the belt? You're going to wait in line? Give Yair Rodriguez the Arman Sarukian treatment. Send him to Arkansas for 2-3 years. Forget. It's absurd. We'll move on. The next topic, real quick, before we break down the card this weekend. Charles Oliveira is taking on Rafael Fiziev. A quick turnaround after just getting knocked out about 5 weeks ago. He's going to go and fight one of the most dangerous strikers in the division. Now, this is why people love Charles Oliveira. All right, and everybody's going to count him out, including myself. I'm going to go with Rafael Fiziev to win this fight early on. And, when I make my video in October, we'll see how much that changes. But I'm going with Fiziev to win this fight 100%. Coming back from a round 1 knockout loss after about a month. I mean, and I understand October 11th, it's going to be a little bit more than a month by the time that rolls around. But still, a couple of months, a round 1 knockout, a ferocious knockout we all knew it was going to happen. And it was worse than we thought it was going to happen. We all set our expectations for Charles to get knocked out. 10%, maybe 5% internally. We're all rooting for Charles Oliveira to come back and win that fight, to pull off the upset of ages, to show that he is who we've always known him to be. And it was a terrible, tragic ending. It was a car accident, watching your parents die in a bloody death. It was very hard, but we got through it. And now we're going to have to live through it again. Fiziev's going to knock out Oliveira. It's going to be brutal. Not as brutal as Topuria, but I mean, coming back from a knockout loss in the first round, your brain's scrambled eggs. I mean, you guys saw, I'll add the picture here for reference. Charles Oliveira was in Alice in Wonderland for moments after that knockout. This is a very bold fight to take for Charles Oliveira. The timing, the threat. Personally, you know, we could look at his resume. I mean, he's fought the best of the best. It's no secret. Fought for the belt 5 times. But man, I mean, the only other fight when we look at the rankings that makes sense would be maybe Beneil Dariush too, but I really like Dan Hooker. I don't know why they didn't just let Charles Oliveira fight Dan Hooker. You got 4 against 6, top contender spot. So the winner stays in line for a title shot. They get in line. Dan Hooker. I mean, Dan Hooker needs time for his hand to finish healing. Charles Oliveira just got knocked out in the first round. You could even do I think he's already knocked out Gamrot, I believe, off the top of my head. Has he fought Gamrot? He hasn't fought Gamrot? Gamrot! Make the Gamrot fight! Make the Gamrot fight! Make the Beneil Dariush too! Make Dan Hooker! But you're going to give him Fiziev. Nothing against Fiziev. I really like Fiziev, and I'm picking him to win this fight, but it's just a big risk, little reward in my eyes for Charles Oliveira. So you hate to see it. That's what it is. And we'll get right on to the main card, or the full card predictions for UFC Fight Night Dolidze versus Hernandez. This is the card here. The main card looks really good. We'll get into that in a minute. We'll start here down at the early prelims, just the prelims. We have 12 fights, I believe, so the same amount as last week. First fight on the card, a great fight. Cody Brundage taking on Eryk McConico. I'm going to go with Cody Brundage to win this fight. Why, you ask? First, before we get into physical attributes, the fight style, that sort of thing, I'm leaning with Cody Brundage just in terms of momentum. I think Eryk McConico will check in a second. It's coming back from a knockout loss too, like in the first round or something. Maybe it was some time ago. But Cody Brundage, this is going to be his 3rd fight in 2025. You guys might remember Mansour Abdul Malik knocking him out. I think there was like a clash of heads or like a knee. Maybe Cody got kneed when he was down. I don't remember off the top of my head. But a fun fact is that fight got overturned to a draw. You can see here round 3 with some time left, 36 seconds in round 3. Mansour Abdul Malik knocked out Cody Brundage, I believe, but it was overturned. And you know what that means? That means that Cody Brundage, this is going to be his 3rd fight in 2025, and he is undefeated. This is the new Cody Brundage, knocking out Julian Marquez with the mouthpieces out. Badass shit, highlight reel shit, potential shit from Cody Brundage. So I'm going to go with him. It's a close odds on this fight. A lot of the fights on this card are very wide, which means there are big favorites and there are big underdogs on this card. But Cody Brundage is a slight favorite, and I think it's going to stay that way. Maybe even, he'll become a little bit more of a favorite tomorrow and Saturday. Eryk McConico, as of lately, yeah, look at that. His only fight in the UFC was a knockout loss. I believe he took that fight on a short notice off the top of my head to get a UFC contract. So good on him, but coming back from a round 1 knockout loss earlier this year against Ruzaboev. I forgot how to pronounce his first name, from Kazakhstan or something like that. Guy's on a little knockout streak, that guy is. Eryk McConico, yeah, I can't pick him to win. Haven't seen a lot of his fights. I haven't watched Tough Enough, whatever the fuck his league was before he came to the UFC. So it's a little bit of a I didn't do my tape study on this fight. I'm going to go with Cody Brundage based off of what I know, based off the momentum that he's had so far this year. And I think his experience, asterisk on his experience, is going to carry him in this fight. I think that he will win a decision against Eryk McConico. I think he'll find a finish, but I'm going to say on record that he wins a decision. But I do think Cody Brundage is scrappy enough, and he's had a lot of hard-fought wars in his recent fights against tough guys. So I'm gonna give Cody Brundage the edge here. I think he'll win. Physical attributes, he's 4 years younger. They're the same height. Eryk McConico with a 5-inch reach advantage, but Cody Brundage kind of gets in the pocket and he unloads his shot. So, being at a reach disadvantage isn't the end of the world for Cody Brundage. He's kind of used to it, I believe. So yeah, those are my takes on this fight. I think it starts a little bit slow and it heats up as the fight goes on, and I think Eryk gets tired first. If Cody Brundage even gets tired, but I think Eryk McConico is going to get shown there's levels here. Might even see him. No, I'm not going to say that. We'll move on to the next fight. Gabriella Fernandes taking on Julija Stoliarenko. That sounds like a goddamn spaceship. It's like what NASA's naming the next thing they're working on. That's a long last name with a lot of vowels that are unnecessary. Gabriella Fernandes is the heavy favorite, 4-1 favorite here. Same physical attributes, pretty much. Julija's an inch taller with age 1 year older in age. Other than that, they're pretty much identical here. I'm going to go with Gabriella Fernandes here. I mean, not only, but something that definitely stuck out to me was her performance against Wing Kong Bangagong in November of last year. She subbed her, and I really like Wing Kong. I think she's a very talented women's flyweight fighter. I really do mean that. And it was her only submission loss. So the fact that she's was able to submit Wing Kong, it shows that she's definitely a credentialed grappler because Wing Kong is well-rounded everywhere. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Gabriella. She's looked good lately. It's been a little while since she's fought in November. And Julija, I'm not familiar with her at all. I just know she's chinny. I haven't seen her last fight. Have I seen her last fight? Yeah, I saw her Molly McCann fight, of course. I saw her get knocked out by Chelsea Chandler. This Carolina fight, it's not ringing a bell off the top of my head, but come on. I'm not a goddamn computer. There's 12 to 14 fights every Saturday, pretty much. It's hard to recall all of them off the top of your head. But she's coming off of a knockout loss over a year and a half ago. Still, she's been knocked out 4 times. Obviously, she's good on the ground with 10 submissions, but how many of those were even in the UFC? I see 2. 2 of her 10 submissions in the UFC, so you got to take the other 8 with a grain of salt. She's chinny. I think the grappling will probably cancel out here. I think we'll see Gabriella get a knockout on the feet. I know it's a flyweight fight. Typically these do go the distance, but I'm gonna go with Gabriella. I'm feeling a finish here. I think she'll get it done on the feet. So we'll say Gabriella a round 2 knockout, and we'll move on to Uros Medic taking on Gilbert Urbina. Gilbert Urbina. Was he on the Contender Series? Ultimate Fighter. That's where I saw him. He lost to Trayshawn Gore. Okay, Uros Medic. Okay, I'm going to go with the favorite here, Gilbert Urbina. I mean, he's 1 fight away from just retiring from mixed martial arts. He's 1 loss away from retiring from mixed martial arts altogether. He has a 4-inch reach advantage. He's 3 years younger, and he's 2 inches taller. Uros Medic, he's coming off of a knockout loss in January. Do I remember this fight? From Punahil Soriano. I do remember this fight. That guy looked like an animal. Got him out in the first round. Yeah, man, am I going to have to go with the heavy underdog here? Gilbert Urbina, off the top of my head. Charles Radke was knocked out by Charles Radke in the first round. Both these guys are coming back from knockout losses. Uros being this year. I want to go with Uros to win this fight. Gilbert Urbina, he's tougher than his record says he is. He's 7-4, but he gets in scraps. He had some good fights on the Ultimate Fighter. Man, Uros Medic, he's been subbed. Orobai's a good... This is a tough one to pick. I kind of want to go with Gilbert Urbina here. But he's coming off. This is a tough one. He got subbed by Brian Battle. And he lost to Trayshawn Gore. This is a mid-fight. I'm going to go with Uros Medic to win this fight. I don't want to say via decision. I mean, this is very unpredictable. Both these guys are... I want to say Gilbert has a better chin, but Uros Medic might be more well-rounded technically. Want to go with the American to win this fight. I really do. I really do want to go with the American to win this fight. This guy's coming back from a round 1 knockout loss. First time he's been knocked out. Fuck it. I'm going to go against myself. I'm going to go with Uros Medic. I'm going to go with the favorite here. It was his first knockout loss, still getting knocked out this year. And it was a good knockout too. I briefly remember it. I remember the other guy's face, but his name wasn't ringing a bell. Gilbert Urbina's taken some time off. He's lost to Trayshawn Gore in the Ultimate Fighter finale, and he lost to Brian Battle via submission, who Brian Battle's a striker. I'm going to go with Uros Medic to win this fight, even though I could see him get knocked out early. So as long as he doesn't get knocked out early, I think he's more well-rounded technically to win 2 rounds in this fight. So we're going to go with Uros Medic to win at 29-28. Wouldn't be shocked if he got knocked out here. Next fight, Joselyne Edwards taking on Priscila Cachoeira. Joselyne Edwards, I believe she has a notable submission win over somebody who is very good at grappling. No? Am I thinking of somebody else here? No, she's coming back from a knockout win over Chelsea Chandler. I remember covering Joselyne Edwards here. Coming back from a knockout win over Chelsea Chandler, I'm probably going to go with the huge favorite in this fight as well. Priscila Cachoeira has no submission defense. She's been submitted 4 times. Yes, she has knocked out Joselyne Nunes, who's she's supposed to be a scrappy opponent. Knocked her out in the first round on my birthday. Priscilla, 8 of her 13 wins are via knockout. The other 5 are via decision. I'm going to go with Joselyne Edwards to get the submission here and move on. Elijah Smith taking on Toshiomi Kazama. Toshiomi Kazama is a plus 500 underdog. What is up with the odds on this card? Might be appropriate. I really like Elijah Smith. He reminds me of, who's that other guy I can't think of from Atlanta who's really good. Man, it'll pop in my head, I'm sure, eventually. Elijah Smith's really good. I just discovered him recently. I think I discovered him this year. I might have missed his Contender Series fight in September, but he had an impressive dominant win over Morales in February, I remember. I think Toshiomi is making his UFC debut this fight. Am I about to look stupid in a second? Yeah, I am. Okay. Okay, he was a road to UFC guy. Got knocked out in the finale, and if we're going to count that, we'll count that. Then another knockout coming off of a submission win a year ago. We're going to go with Elijah Smith. He's been active. I believe he already had, yeah, he just covered it. He already has a win this year in April, I think. Was it April or February? February 15th. Already has a win this year. He's more active. 4 of his 8 wins are via knockout. 1 of them is via submission. It'll be a fun little fight here. I'm going to go with Elijah Smith. I think these odds should be a lot closer, but I don't know. I guess they tend to target the road to UFC finalists. So we'll move on to the last fight on the prelims. Get this off my screen. Julius Walker taking on Rafael Cerqueira. Julius Walker, supposed to interview this guy. Got a little bit of beef. It's not real beef with Julius Walker. I was in his DMs. He was talking about a potential interview before his UFC debut on the card that, no, not the card that I went to. Before I went to, okay, I was supposed to interview this guy before his UFC debut at UFC Seattle. He stepped in short notice, took on Alonzo Menafield on a 10-day notice, I believe. Lost a close decision where both guys had many moments. I was supposed to see Julius Walker in person. I was going to do an interview at UFC 313, and he no-called, no-showed me like a legend, like what I would do if I was somebody famous. So, Julius Walker, what the fuck's up with that? Aside from that, I think he should win this fight. Rafael Cerqueira, he's a little bit chinny. I think both of his losses are via knockout. Both of his losses are via knockout. He's won every fight that he hasn't been knocked out. So, I think Julius Walker will knock him out. Julius Walker's got some power in his hands. He looked good for a short notice against Alonzo Menafield. Both of them were gassed. You might have thought, like, when you watched the fight, oh, these guys look like shit. Julius Walker stepping into the UFC, the big leagues, on a 10-day notice, and hanging in there with a ranked light heavyweight opponent. I think that says something big. That says something good. I think Julius Walker has a lot of potential. I think he's only been training for about 5 years or so. Since he's been a basketball player in college. I don't know what the deal is there. But physical attributes, Julius is about an inch taller, 2 inches of reach, and 9 years younger. Got to go with the youth. Got to go with the power in the light heavyweight division. Going with Julius Walker to knock out Rafael Cerqueira or win a decision. I think he'll knock him out, though. So we'll move on to the main card. Eryk Anders taking on Christian Leroy Duncan. Eryk Anders, I don't know if this is his last fight in the UFC or what. I'm not sure what the deal is with his contract, but it's been very clear. It hasn't been a secret for the past 2 years. 2 years. Wow, for the past 2 years, I remember clearly of Eryk Anders, stating he's only got a couple fights left in his contract. I'm on my way out of the UFC. This could be it for Eryk Anders. I'm not sure. I haven't done any research. Maybe people are talking about it on Twitter. I haven't seen it. So his foot's already, he's halfway out the door. He's been in the UFC for a little while. He's 38 years old. Just a lot of the things that are going for Christian Leroy Duncan are going out the window for Eryk Anders. Now, he's an incredible athlete. I believe he played football for Alabama. I like Eryk Anders. He's a striker. He'll stay on his feet and strike with you, but there's definitely an avenue to win in the grappling department if Christian wants to take it there. But I believe he can outstrike Eryk Anders on the feet if he wants to do that. And if Eryk decides he wants to grapple with Duncan, Duncan's going to shut down those takedown attempts and keep it standing. So I think Christian Leroy Duncan wins a decision here. I like the reason I brought it up, I do see it possible of him finishing Eryk Anders, maybe getting him down, knocking him down. Maybe he's against the cage, he's dealing ground and pound. I do see Eryk Anders in a position where he'll find it acceptable to maybe give up if he's getting his face caved in from the top position. So yeah, Eryk Anders, physical attributes, they're pretty balanced for the most part, despite him being 8 years older than Christian Leroy Duncan. I just see Christian wanting it more. He's a younger prospect, 30 years old. He's in the middleweight division. Eryk Anders is a big name. He's a veteran. It's a big, important fight for Christian. Christian has more to gain than Eryk does this fight, and he's got less to lose than Eryk does. So I'm going to go with Christian Leroy Duncan. I think he'll win this fight. I'd like to be wrong about this one. Out of all the fights I've announced so far, if I'm wrong about this one, I like Eryk Anders, so I can't be mad, but I'm going to go with Christian Leroy Duncan to win. Most likely a decision. We'll move on to a great fight in the Bantamweight division. Miles Johns taking on Gene Matsumoto. Gene, I think I watched. Was Gene on the 313? No, he was right before 313. That's why he was fresh on my mind. Rob Font upset Gene Matsumoto, who I picked to win that fight, who I believe was a huge favorite. It's the case in this fight. He's also a huge favorite, not as nearly as much as he was against Rob Font, I don't believe. But Miles Johns, he's a freaking hammer, man. I mean, he's even kind of built like, something you'd see in a construction worker's toolbox. I don't know how else to describe him. Physical attributes, he's 6 years older than Gene Matsumoto. He's an inch taller, and Gene has a 2.5-inch reach advantage to Miles Johns. Miles Johns, heavy wrestler. His MMA style is definitely built around his wrestling ability. That's what I could say about Miles Johns. He'll strike, he'll throw some hard shots, but he wants to know that the grappling is established before he can really get comfortable in his striking. When he knows there's a plan B to go to, or that he's able to mix his combos up with like level changes or takedown setups, I think that's where Miles Johns is really going to excel. Gene Matsumoto, that being said, I feel like is a pretty decent counter fighter for the most part. That Rob Font fight was an amazing scrap, but before that, he's got wins over some good guys. Dan Argueta is a really popular name. Brad Katona is very well-rounded. I know he's a boring fighter, decision fighter, ultimate fighter, finalist, but Brad Katona, a unanimous decision win over him says a lot if you watch that fight. But Gene Matsumoto, six of his 16 wins are via submission, 3 others via knockout. He's lost 1 fight via split decision against Rob Font. The others he's won via decision. Miles Johns' recent resume here, in his last 5, he's 3 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw. Most recent is the unanimous decision loss in December against Felipe Lima, who just got beat by Peyton Talbot, in case you're wondering who that is. Yeah, that Felipe Lima fight, he was in control the entire fight, dominated Miles Johns, did exactly what he needed to do to win each round. That being said, if there's an underdog to pick on this card so far, Miles Johns is one of them. I wouldn't pick hardly any underdogs on the prelims, I don't believe. I went with all favorites on the prelims. And I think it's going to be a little bit of a different story on the main card. I think there's some underdogs that could win. I think Miles Johns could very well win this fight if he finds that, how to mix in that grappling effectively with the strikes. But if Gene shuts him down repeatedly early on this fight, I think he'll take over and win a decision. That's really going to be what tells the story. When Miles Johns shoots for his first and second, maybe third takedown attempt in the first round, and how effortlessly Gene may or may not shut those takedowns down will tell the story of this fight. Now, Gene's really good in the submission department, but with the wrestlers, you could be going against really good black belts. If you take them down, you sit in the full guard. It's MMA. It's not jiu-jitsu. You're going to need a whole lot of skill for those elbows to not hurt the same, if you get what I'm saying. So, for my official pick this fight, I'm going to go with Gene Matsumoto. I think he'll shut down the takedown attempts from Miles Johns. I think he'll make him pay. Like I said, he's a decent counter fighter. Obviously, didn't show that well against Rob Font, but it was a close split decision fight. I think that he'll make Miles Johns pay for some of the bad takedown attempts, or maybe good attempts that he shrugs off of him. I think he'll deal damage. He'll start to corner Miles into only striking with him, and then maybe Gene takes Miles down himself and then really gets to work. So I'm going to go with Gene Matsumoto. I think he'll win a unanimous decision fight against Miles Johns. And we'll move on to another fight I'm really looking forward to. Saturday, Andre Fili taking on Christian Rodriguez. Andre Fili, if you don't remember, is the guy who lost in his hometown of Seattle on his mom's birthday. Yeah. That's Andre Fili for you. If you want to pick a guy who's willing to lose a fight on his mom's birthday, I love you, Ma. You know I love you, Ma. I'd do anything for you, Ma. I love you. You're like family to me. Andre Fili dropped the ball. I think he won't drop the ball again. I'm gonna go with the underdog. This will be my first official underdog pick, and we're on our third fight into the main card. Just to let you know how bad some of these odds are. Well, that wouldn't honestly change anything, but these odds, they're just too big. They're too big. That's what she said. Pause. Andre Fili plus 200, 2-1 underdog here. You'll pay 3 times your money. I like Andre Fili here. I think his last fight was a huge hiccup. And he fought a guy that I interviewed on the YouTube channel. He fought Melquizael Costa, I believe, and Melquizael, once getting taken down, immediately locked up the guillotine. Andre had a couple seconds where he could have bailed and got out, and yeah, Costa threw up that left leg over the hip, I believe. I'm replaying it in my mind as I'm explaining this to you, and it was too late, too close for comfort. Andre Fili got choked out via guillotine, I believe, in the first round. And I don't think that'll be the story of this fight. I think Andre Fili is better than it looks on paper. He's 24-12, coming off of a sub loss in his hometown of Seattle earlier this year in February. I'm going to pick him to win this fight. Physical attributes, Andre Fili, he likes to strike, which is the best part of him losing a fight, choosing to do a takedown. But he likes to strike, and he's 4 inches taller. He's got about 3 inches of reach advantage. Now, he is 8 years older. But I'm going to go with Andre Fili to win this fight. I think he's the all-around better skilled, definitely more technical fighter. Now, his fight IQ comes into question. But I'm confident. I gotta pop an upper decky for this. It's getting intense. I got to go with Andre Fili. I'm going to go with his experience. I think he's pissed off about Seattle, and I mean, he's got to make a statement, and I think Christian Rodriguez is going to be that statement. Andre Fili, I think he will win a unanimous decision fight, but I got a feeling we're going to see another finish this fight. I have a feeling we're going to see a finish. I'm not saying it's going to be from Andre's side. It could be from Christian Rodriguez's side. But to be safe, I think Andre needs to get back in the win column. I think he's more technically skilled than Christian Rodriguez, and I think that he's got to do what he needs to do to win this fight. He can't be looking for highlight reels. He can't be looking for, oh, I'm pissed off. I lost on my mom's birthday earlier this year. I'm going to get a knockout win. He's got to be smart. He's got to be calm and composed, and I think he'll win this fight if he keeps it on the feet. I think he'll outstrike Christian Rodriguez, and I think his grappling has gotten a lot better as well, Andre Fili. Maybe that's why we saw that takedown attempt against Melquizael Costa. But Christian Rodriguez in his last fight also lost to Melquizael Oh shit! Christian Rodriguez is the guy UFC Guadalajara, the Mexico card earlier this year. He's the guy. Melquizael Costa did a quick turnaround, beat Fili, then beats Rodriguez. Oh, this is gonna be a battle of Melquizael's kids. This is Melk's kids. Oh shit! Yeah, still gonna go with Andre Fili. I think he's the most dominant of Melquizael Costa's children. That's a fun little fact. Wow, I didn't even realize that until we clicked in their history. Glad I did that. Christian Rodriguez coming off of a loss to the same guy who gave Andre Fili his last loss. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Fili to win this fight. We'll move on. Eisman Lucindo taking on Angela Hill. Oh, baby. I'm going to go with Angela Hill to win this fight. She's done it once at 40, and she's going to do it twice this year. 2 fights at 40 years old in the women's strawweight division. I'm going to go with my second underdog pick. I'm going to pick Angela Hill to win this fight. I am. I just really want her to win. Now, she's almost double Lucindo's age, which is fucking crazy. Same height. She's at an 1.5-inch reach disadvantage to Eisman Lucindo. Eisman Lucindo, I believe, just lost to Amanda Lemos. This was the card that I went to, and we predicted that. That's right. Lemos was an underdog, and we predicted that underdog correctly, just like we're going to pick this underdog correctly. Angela Hill, I think she'll win this fight. She looked real good lately. She got a submission win, too. No, that was way earlier. Pinero. I don't know why that was the top of my head. She looked good against this win against Ketlin Souza, who we just watched fight last weekend and lose. She lost a split decision to her. But I don't know. I think she beats Lucindo. Fuck it. Fuck it. We ball. Angela Hill Come on, baby. 40 years old. I'd like to see her get it done again. I'd like to see a little Angela Hill run in the strawweight division. It won't get far, but I'd like to see it run, while it's got the legs. So, Angela Hill, she's a boxer. I think she's a better technical striker. I think she's one of the best boxers in this division. And on top of that, her grapplings look pretty good. Her grapplings look pretty good lately. I'll say it, and I'll stand on that. I'm going to go with Angela Hill to win a decision here. It's either she'll win a decision or she'll lose a decision. I don't see her getting finished. I don't really see her finishing Lucindo. I feel Lucindo will do what she needs to do to stay safe, even if she's losing the fight. So we're going to go with Angela Hill. Maybe a split decision. Maybe it's a closer fight. We'll move on to the next fight. The co-main event of the evening. Steve Erceg taking on short notice, Ode Osbourne. That's why he's a plus 400 there. You got to go Steve Erceg. Steve Erceg was supposed to fight Young Park as the co-main event, like I mentioned in my video last week. But duty calls, right? Steve Erceg is fighting Ode Osbourne on a short notice, who is coming back from an upset win over Louis Garul, I believe his name is. I gotta click it. I'm OCD. Gotta be sure. He's on the UFC Noche card that I showed you guys in the beginning of this video. Gave him his first loss. Huge upset win, knockout win in the second round. Aside from that, he was looking at 3 straight losses in the UFC. Fialho, Almabayev, and Rodriguez. All formidable, reputable names, might I add. But Steve Erceg is Steve motherfucking Erceg. This guy's coming. He's coming for the belt, he says. We'll see. But he's 3 years younger than Ode Osbourne. He's at a 5-inch reach disadvantage, but he's 1 inch taller in his height. So I think he pieces Ode Osbourne up. I think he'll get a knockout win. There's not else much to say. You know how these short notice fights go, okay? You know how these short notice fights go. We're going to go with Steve Erceg. We're going to keep it short and sweet. There's not really much else to say. What do you want me to say? You want me to... What? Come on, Tony. What do you want me to... You want me to pull shit out of my ass here? There's nothing else to cover. We'll move on to the main event. Roman Dolidze taking on Anthony Hernandez in the main event of UFC Apex on August 9th. Roman Dolidze, he's good. He's getting a little older, 37 years old. He is 2 inches taller than Anthony Hernandez, and he's got 1 inch reach advantage. He's coming back from a win of March of this year against Marvin Vettori. Before that, he knocked out Kevin Holland, and he beat Anthony Smith. Ooh, he beat Anthony Smith. Anthony Hernandez, I really like him. I really like... Oh, wait. I didn't catch that. Roman Dolidze, I haven't... I guess that is true after recalling, but he's never been knocked out or submitted. All 3 of his losses are via decision, which is something to take into account this fight, because I think Anthony Hernandez... I think if this was a 3-round fight, he'd win the decision. But I think he's going to submit Roman Dolidze here. I don't know why I got a feeling he's going to submit Roman Dolidze. He's a very good, talented grappler. He likes to scrap. Fluffy likes to scrap on his feet. He'll get you up against a cage. He'll lean into you, control you with one arm, and land shots with the other arm, mix in his knees as well. He's a very well-rounded mixed martial artist. Elbows, knees, strikes, his boxing, his kickboxing, his grappling is insane. I think he's better everywhere than Roman Dolidze. So I'm going to go with the favorite here. I'm going to go with almost all favorites on this card without Angela Hill and I think Andre Fili. I do believe a couple other underdogs can win, but I'm very confident in Anthony Hernandez. This is probably my most confident pick. If I had to bet on one fight this card, you could look at the odds and, people come at me, oh, you picked a 400 favorite to win and he won. Like, oh, yeah, sometimes they fucking lose. That's a fight. Just because you're a minus 300 doesn't mean you're going to go out there and perform like a minus 300. You could be a minus 500 favorite. When the fight starts, you get busted in the nose. The live odds change 30 seconds later. It's now you're a minus 100 favorite. So it's like all that shit, take it with a grain of salt, man. You could chuck that shit over your shoulder. He is a minus 320 favorite. I believe that's fair. I think he'll probably keep those odds, and it'll grow as the fight goes on. I just see him dominating everywhere. If Anthony wants the fight on the ground, I think he has the ability to get it there. It's fully in his arsenal. If he wants to keep the fight standing, Roman's not taking Anthony down, and if he does, he's in store for some squirrely fucking scrambles. So Anthony Hernandez, he's better everywhere. I think he'd win a decision against Roman if it was a 3-round fight. But with the 2 extra rounds being taken into account here, and has Roman ever been to a 5-round fight before his last? Okay, he lost a major decision, an ass beating against Imavov. That's right, in February last year. And I guess the Vettori fight went to a decision. That was they did headline that fight night in March, so that makes sense. Anthony Hernandez is going to win this fight. He's going to submit Roman Dolidze probably in the 4th round. So yeah, those are my picks for UFC Vegas 109. It's going to be, I guess. This is the Fight Guy. Thank you so much for watching. If you laughed at all, if this gave you any value, if you're going to place a bet because of something you watched on this card, if on this video, if anything added any sort of value at all, please just press the thumbs up button. That's it. Drop a comment if you're feeling frisky, want to get some bonus credit. This is the Fight Guy. Thank you so much for watching. We'll break this card down. I'll get my video recorded Saturday night after the card wraps up, as I got some traveling to do next week, which I will be at a casino resort for the UFC 319. So we'll be doing another video from the hotel room. This is the Fight Guy. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you then.